Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video we are going to be discussing how to start collecting Orruk Warclans Ironjawz. So if you're interested in starting an Ironjawz army, hopefully this video will be able to help you out on knowing what's the best way to get started with them before you go out and spend your money. Or alternatively, if you already bought a few things, how to get your next purchases. So what we'll be doing in this video is I'll be going over what you should get for your first buys. I'll then be talking about and reviewing the Ironjawz Start Collecting box, because Games Workshop always makes them sound like they're the best way to start the army, but is it actually the best way to start the army in this case? We'll get to that later. And then I'll be talking about things like auto-includes for your army. So that means things that you're always going to want to have in your army list when you're creating it until there's, I don't know, a future update. The date of recording is the 28th of the 4th, 2021, just as a reference. And also we'll be looking at almost auto-include. So these are things that mean they're not always going to be in your list, but maybe in 50% of them, something like that. And then what we're going to do is, as this is actually quite a small army, I'm going to go through pretty much all the units that the Ironjawz have. Basically everyone that is not a warband. So not the two warbands for the Ironjawz. Sorry, most of them aren't very good. However, if it turns out I'm wrong and they are really good, please put that down below in the comments. So not just me, but everyone else who's watching this video will learn from your experience, as long as you tell us why they're good. Because like I said, you know, 4 out of 5 of them tend not to be very good. These Warhammer Underworld warbands, or, you know, Warcry warbands taken into Age of Sigmar. I also do want to mention that I have already done a why play Ironjawz video, and I have actually done a why play Orruk Warclans video. So that's a sort of more of a summary for the Orruk Warclans, and I've done a very specific one for the Ironjawz, where a lovely guy called Alex joined, and he gave some great experience he's had with the Ironjawz. And in that video, it's quite a long why play, and we went through all the sub-allegiance for the Ironjawz, and we talked about the strengths and weaknesses of the Ironjawz, every single part of the army. So go check that out if you're still wondering why should you play Ironjawz. But this video, like I say, is more that you've already made the decision, but now how do you want to start it? I do also want to add that I'm not an Ironjawz player. I used to be, but we're talking probably about 2 years ago at least. So things have changed a lot since then, but I'm giving you my thoughts as someone who absolutely does love the army, as obviously they're orcs. So what is not to love? So we'll be giving you my thoughts on someone who really does like the army, but it's going to be an outsider's point of view. You know, we're looking at a couple of years ago, all I was doing was run around like huge blocks of Orruk brutes and stuff and having a great time. It was really, really good fun. But again, like I say, it's been a while. So if there's anyone who's watching this who has experience with Ironjawz, and there's anything that you agree with what I say, or also anything that you disagreed or something that you think I've missed, make sure you put that in the comments down below, because I do want everyone who's watching this video to try and get the best information possible. And if there's something else you would like to add to the conversation, make sure you don't miss it and put it in the conversation down below in the comments, and it'll be great to read it and to learn from your experience. Okay, so before we get straight into the video, I do of course want to do a massive shout out as usual to my patrons and YouTube members, who because of these wonderful people I am able to keep up my YouTube channel and try and help as many as you get into Age of Sigmar and continue your Age of Sigmar journey. So my top supporters are going to be my Vampire Lords on a Zombie Dragon. So this is going to be Stuart F and Filq. Both you two are giving the most generous support to the channel. Thank you so much for that, and please do keep it up. It's going to make a huge difference. And then my Morgasts is going to be Bleed Red, who's been doing it for a long time now. Morgasts, it's very nice support you're giving to the channel, so thank you so much. And then my Vampires, which are going to be Amir, Martin S, Rouse321, David A, Ronni H, SpareBear, Christopher H, Northdrop, and Nathan F. Again, thank you so much for your continued support. I know a lot of you have been doing it for a long time. And then my Necromancers, which is Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher C, Christopher F, James S, Robin S, Steve T, James T, Patrick F, and JJ. Thank you all so much for your continued support and allowing me to keep doing this YouTube channel. If anyone would like to help support in that way, click the join button next to the subscribe button, will allow you to become a member here in Age of Nagash, or go to my Patreon, which you will find a link to it at the top of the description down below. But we can get into all those sort of details later, because what we're going to do right now is going to go straight in to what to buy first for your Orruk Warclans Ironjawz army. And what is that going to be? It is going to be the battle tome for your army. And if you've watched any of my start collecting videos before on how to start armies, you'll know I always start with, say, get the battle tome first. And you may think that that's a bit of a, well, I want to get started on the models. The battle tome, no matter what type of hobbyist you are, let's just go through the lot of them. Let's say, you buy the models because you really like the look of them. You get really good shots and really good, battle scenes and stuff with the photography of models for the army that you really like inside a battle tome. If you really like the stories of Age of Sigmar, you're going to get fantastic lore for the biggest and strongest of all Orruks in Age of Sigmar. And also, if you're really into the match play side of things and the competitive gaming, you're going to get access to the best rules for your army in that book. Again, Games Workshop states that you don't need a battle tome to play Age of Sigmar, but they say that to make everyone think that they're not trying to force and sell a book to you, that you need to be able to play the game. However, if you want to really enjoy your games of Age of Sigmar, you need the battle tome for your army, so you don't need it, but you need the battle tome to do the best you can in the game. And also, if you're into the hobby sort of side of things, a lot of the battle tomes these days have, painted tutorials in the book and how you achieve certain effects, etc. So the battle tome is always going to be the best starting point, because once you've got it, now you have access to all the rules in your army, all the lore. It's going to really help you know how to build and start and paint and actually play with your soon-to-be Ironjawz collection. The other thing I just want to say about the battle tome as well is that it may say Orruk Warclans. Now, that's actually where the wording can be a bit confusing, particularly if you're very new, because we're talking about how to start collecting Ironjawz. Why am I recommending a book that's called something else, Orruk Warclans? Now, Orruk Warclans is what contains the Ironjawz. So look at it this way. It's just the name of a category. It's not the name of an army, but within the battle tome Orruk Warclans, you get access to, just for some other reasons to buy the book, you're going to get access to the Ironjawz allegiance. You're also going to get access to the big War allegiance. Now, War, Warg, I don't know. People have told me that you pronounce the G, you don't pronounce the G. I don't care anymore. You get that. And then you're going to get yourself access to the allegiance abilities for the Bone Splitters. And again, if you're watching this video and you're a bit new, because this is a how to start collecting video, what do I mean by all these allegiances? Now, I have done a what are allegiances and sub-allegiances in Age of Sigmar, which you can go and check out in that video as part of my playlist for how to play Age of Sigmar. So go check that out if you're still unsure. But essentially what an allegiance means is army. So by buying this book, you get access to the rules for Ironjawz, Big War, and the Bone Splitters. And mainly it's divided into the Bone Splitters and the Ironjawz, because those are the ones that actually have models. The Big War essentially allows you to group those models all together. Now, what I will say is in this video, we are focusing on just an Ironjawz army. We're not talking about Big War, because you can get into a whole different conversation, and we'll maybe look at doing a video for the Big War at some point in the future, again when you guys vote in as usual on the polls. And now that we discussed about buying the battle tome as the best way to start the army, let's go on to actually something a bit more interesting, which is buying the models themselves, as that's something that draws us all in. Like I said, we like the story, we like the rules, everything else, but it's the models that makes us want to collect a Warhammer. So the start collecting box for the Ironjawz is going to cost you £60 to buy. All the start collecting boxes once upon a time were £50, which was great. Now they're £60. It makes it harder to just go, yeah, buy it straight away because it's really good value. Now it is worth actually evaluating, is it something you definitely want to buy? So separately it would cost you £78. So basically you're going to get yourself £18 worth of goodies for free. But what are you actually going to get yourself in this big box? So you're going to get yourself one leader. So that's one Orruk War Chanter. So that's the guy at the front with the big two sticks. And then you're going to get yourself two Battle Line If options. Now, what do I mean by Battle Line If? So in Age of Sigmar, like we've talked about before in other videos, if you're playing a standard game, which to be honest is 2,000 points, that's what's became known as the standard size game. And within 2,000 points, you're going to need to get yourself 3 Battle Line units and also one leader. They're the 4 minimum units you need to bring to the table before you start playing around with everything else that's going to go into your list. So why do I call these 2 units a Battle Line If unit choice? And that's because to be able to make the Orruk Arboys and the Orruk Gore Grunters and the Orruk Brutes, as we'll see later, a battle line, they have to be in an Ironjawz army, or a big war army. So already that box is ticked. So they are effectively battle line, but just because they have to be in the Ironjawz army. So for example, if you wanted to do a Grand Alliance Destruction army, again, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not the best way to play because it hasn't got the best rules. But, you know, if you want to do what you want to do and you have a load of fun, crack on. If you wanted to do a Grand Alliance Destruction army, they wouldn't be battle line because they wouldn't be in an Ironjawz army. They wouldn't have the Ironjawz allegiance. Again, when I say Ironjawz army, what I mean is Ironjawz allegiance. But army is just easier to remember and easy to explain to newer people. The R-Boys also have an additional rule to make them battle line, as well as having to be in a Ironjawz army or also a big war army. They also have to be in minimized size units of 10. So you can actually take R-Boys in units of 5, but you need a unit of 10 of them to make them a battle line. Now the reason for this is just so I think you can't really skimp away of getting really easy, accessible, cheap battle line for your Ironjawz army. That must be the reason. To be honest, a unit of 10 isn't bad anyway, so it's not really too much of a problem to get around, but it's definitely something worth remembering. So what do I think of this box? What I will say is the saving of the box isn't fantastic. Again, you know, buy from a third-party retailer because you're just going to get it cheaper at the end of the day. I don't get sponsored by any of them, but I'm not going to say, you know, buy it from GW for full price if you don't have to, because you might as well save yourself some money that you can also then put towards other hobby projects in Warhammer to buy more models. So it's just a win-win. So buy it from a third-party retailer, but these are obviously GW prices. So what does this mean? Basically, the Orruk War Chanter is, I think, £18 at 50. So you're kind of getting the Orruk War Chanter for free by buying this box. But then you go, oh, what are the tax units of this box? Because often when you look at these Start Collecting boxes, or some of them anyway, there are some units in the Start Collecting box or a hero or something that you don't really need for your army. And it's like, oh, I get that hero for free by buying this box with the saving I make, but I don't really want him in my army anyway. So then is it actually really worth it? In this case, you're going to want the R-Boys and you're going to want the Gore Grunters, and you're most certainly going to want to get the Orruk War Chanter, which we'll go into those reasons in a moment. So I'm going to say that this Start Collecting box is worth getting and is a good way to start collecting the army. Now again, if your first purchases you want for this army is going to be a Orruk Megaboss, a Maw Crusher, and a load of brutes. Obviously, you know, this isn't the box you want to buy straight away, but for a sensible decision in getting into this army, this is the box you're going to want to buy. And that is why it gets a recommendation for me, which is nice because sometimes these Start Collecting boxes aren't worth buying, and that's why I say it's always worth talking about it, because Games Workshop makes it sound like they are the best and only way to start the army. And then going on to the includes. This is the auto includes and almost auto includes. And as the army is quite small, and to be honest, the lovely thing about the Ironjawz army is you can kind of build it pretty much however you want. There's no particular unit, it's just like, never take that unless it's, like I say, as I believe, one of the Warhammer Underworld war bands. The actual standard troop choices and the heroes in your army all do feel like they have a place, bar Gordrak, which we'll get to later. But I thought, so instead of just putting basically everything up here, I'll try and narrow it down to what I think are always going to be in your list. And again, if you've got experience with the Ironjawz, let me know that down below if you think differently. So what I put for the first auto-include is going to be the Orruk War Chanter. Why is he in the list? Now, it's not for his combat prowess, but it's going to be for his synergies he gives to the army, as he is a massive buff piece where he can make a unit in the army charge 3d6 and be able to use all 3 of those dice, add them together, and that's their charge, and they can charge an enemy unit from a maximum of 18 inches away. That is huge. The Ironjawz, if you look at their war scrolls, you may go, oh, their movement's not very fast, bar the Gore Grunter and the Maw Crusher. There's so many ways for them to get extra moves in different phases that the fact that turn 1 they can charge you with the 3d6, or certainly by turn 2. It's an army that has surprisingly good movement, and then that 3d6 charge is probably going to catch your opponent off guard, especially how you can spam this. As when I've gone against fighting the Ironjawz, it's usually like 2 or 3 units who end up getting this bloody ability off, and then it's really kind of hard to try and work around a little bit. As you know, the enemy can charge you from a great distance away. But that's like a sub-reason why most people take the War Chanter in their list, because the main reason is the other buff he can give, which is +1 damage to a unit. Now again, there's ranges and everything in all this, but essentially pick one of your units within range, they get +1 damage, which is absolutely huge. From top of my head, I don't think you even roll for that one as well. If you do, again, apologies if I got that wrong, but just +1 damage to anything in the game is good. No matter what it is, +1 damage is great. And in an army where it's all about combat prowess, even better. Now, firstly, when I read this and I was like, oh, you put this on your brutes and now your brutes are even better. Again, I've had this put on brutes and they charge me turn 1 and it's hurt a lot, especially when it's a unit of 15 of them. But the best place for this to go is going to be the Orruk R boys, because they make, per how many points for each model and everything else, the maths works out that the R boys are making more attacks compared to the brutes. And now you may say, well, the brutes are higher quality attacks. Yes, but if you can make either of them go from damage 1 to damage 2, surely putting it on the unit being the R boys, so you have the most amount of attacks, gets the biggest benefit from having the +1 damage put on them. And then that is why, where we can see in the almost auto includes, I've got Orruk R boys as well, because they just pair in really, really well, and you can make your Orruk R boys a blender units as well as pretty tanky, to be fair. And that's pretty much the reason why an Orruk War Chanter is in everyone's list for the Ironjawz. And I would say as well is that I've seen people take 3 of these Orruk War Chanters. They're not particularly expensive in points, and they certainly do make up for it. And then moving on to our next and last auto include, it's going to be the Orruk Weird Knob Shaman. So why is he in the auto includes? He doesn't give a buff as high as like +1 damage or getting that 3d6 charge or something like that. And his buff comes from a spell where it's not guaranteed unless you go a certain sub-allegiance, Bloodtooth, I think. But what he can do is he's got this spell that can allow you to have a teleport in your army. And access to a teleport in your army is huge in Age of Sigmar. It can win you games single-handedly if things go tits up for your opponents, and essentially they have to abandon their back objectives, but they've forgotten you've got a teleport, or there's nothing really they can do. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They abandon the back objectives, you teleport a unit in behind, you take their back objective, or to be honest, with the Ironjawz, you teleport a unit forward, you go smash, and you're charging 3d6. So it's particularly good. I've had it used against me many a times, and it's always made it quite interesting, shall we say, to play against the Ironjawz. It's not like really, really strong, you've got to roll to cast it. It reminds me a little bit for the Slaves of Darkness. I believe their spell, is it Cloak of Darkness or Mask of Darkness? Something like that. They have a teleport spell, and it kind of reminds me a little bit like that, where it's not guaranteed, but just having the capability to teleport in Age of Sigmar is worth the inclusion of an Orruk Weird Knob Shaman. And that's pretty much as simple as that as it goes. And then going on to the almost auto includes, we've got the Orruk R boys, which like I say, they time really nicely with the Orruk War Chanter. And then we've got the Orruk Gore Grunters, because they have so much speed in Ironjawz. And I've even played against an Ironjawz list where it's basically just nothing but Orruk Gore Grunters. I think there was like 21 or 24 on the list, maybe. And then we basically just had a Weird Knob Shaman, a couple of War Chanters, and then a Megaboss on foot. And that hits me so hard. If I didn't have, I think then I had 80 Clan Rats shielding my army, I don't know what I would have done. And even that, they smashed them off in a turn, and it was dangerous. And I think luckily I won the priority to burn all the piggies to hell and smell like nice crispy bacon. And that's why the Orruk Gore Grunters can do really well. They just hit your turn 1, they do so much damage, everything else. But the Orruk R boys, mathematically, out of all the battle line options, are probably the best when they're paired with Orruk War Chanters. So you guys have got, like I said, experience with the Ironjawz, and you think I'm wrong on that, let me know down below. It'd be great to hear. But from what I can hear, from when I talk to Ironjawz players, they much prefer the Orruk R boys. But you can go different routes on how you want to play your Ironjawz, and going with just like a all-fast, pig army is another route. Or even just adding in a unit of 3, or maybe 2 units of 3, or a unit of 6, or Gore Grunters in your list isn't a bad thing, because they're a very fast unit you can have in your army with all the extra movement shenanigans, and it could be definitely a good thing to have for tactical purposes within your list. And with that, we're now going to look at the other units in the army. So we're going to firstly start with the heroes. So what we got basically is 3 variations of a mega boss. And then we've got the Orruk War Chanter and the Orruk Weird North Shaman doing some crazy weird thing down at the bottom of the screen, because I couldn't fit him on another screen. Basically, we'll ignore the 2 last ones, but we'll look at the mega bosses. So, a mega boss on foot. What are my thoughts on him? Again, we're not going into any war scrolls or breaking down things like that. We will in future in-depth videos for the Orruk Warclans when you guys vote them in. But the mega boss on foot is essentially, he's a good buff piece. He has a nice command ability for your army, helps you basically be able to hit things better. But what I will say is he is just a great laugh as well, in the sense of his damage output. I mean, he's not a really cheap hero, but he's not really expensive. He's, for especially for a foot hero, he's really tanky. He's good at staying in the fight for quite a long time, and he can do a surprising amount of damage output and can certainly catch your opponent off guard. I know when I went against Ironjawz not so long ago, I had a mega boss charge a unit of 6 stalkers, and I think within a couple of turns he killed like 4 stalkers, and they've each got 4 wounds. Like, he did pretty goddamn well, and it's just like a unit that you can really buff up as well with things like artifacts and command traits if you just want to have a laugh. And the cool, really nice thing about the mega bosses on Morcrusher or just on foot is that they have like a strength from victory ability, which means that if they kill models throughout the game, they get tougher and their attacks increase. So they get more attacks and they gain wounds, which is great because that's how orcs, basically become from small orcs to big orcs, is by fighting. And that like war energy fills them up during the game, and the narrative really nicely seeps into the tabletop there, and was one of my favourite abilities in all of the Orruk Warclans, to be completely honest with you. So the mega boss on Morcrusher. Why would I go for a mega boss on Morcrusher than a mega boss on foot? Now, I'm guessing the mega boss on Morcrusher is one of the reasons why you want to start collecting Ironjawz in the first place. And let me tell you, although the mega boss on Morcrusher, I don't think it's an auto-include like I haven't stated, but again, if you think differently, let me know down below. I would say that it's a solid choice. It's not like, oh, you can take the big cool monster, but really you should spend your points on other things. It's not really worth it, etc, etc. Like if I was talking to someone currently about Legions of Nagash and talking about the Mortarks, like Manfred Neferasa specifically, I'd go, yeah, they're cool, but you're probably better off taking a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon for a bit more points, etc. Here, the Mega Boss of Morcrusher is a solid choice. It can do so much damage output. I had one of them charge a unit of 10 Kavalos Death Riders, and when the opponent charged me and did their damage and stuff, they wiped out the unit of Kavalos Death Riders in like a turn or 2 turns. Like, it must have been 2 turns, because that's like 30 wounds. 30 wounds in 10 Kavalos Death Riders, so they're 3 wounds each. And there was just an absolute beast, and beyond anything else, just incredibly fun to play with. And I know you can say, it looks cool, or a lot of things are fun, therefore, it's worth getting. The Mega Boss on Morcrusher fits the rule of being cool and being a very good and strong and powerful on the tabletop, a proper sledgehammer. I mean, just look how cool and orky that dragon looks. What's not to love about it? It's a new adaptation of like a wyvern. It's not a wyvern, but it's like, I'm glad Games Workshop went, brand new with what the Ironjawz would ride into battle. What is their dragon looks like. Still love the wyverns, but I really do like the Morcrusher, and I will own a Morcrusher one day. I've never owned one, but it's one of my favourite models in all of Age of Sigmar, and I will do at some point. And like I said, the Mega Boss on foot, you can buff him up with artifacts and command traits and stuff like that to make him a bit of a beast. The Mega Boss on Morcrusher, you can do even more so, and like I said, really great fun. But then we go on to Gordrakk, the Fist of Gork. So, why did I mention earlier he's not going to be a good option in your Ironjawz army? Mainly because there is a Mega Boss on Morcrusher available to you. And that's because Gordrakk, the Fist of Gork, I can't remember if he's more points than a Mega Boss on Morcrusher now. He probably is still a little bit more expensive, or certainly not cheaper. And what that means is that you're directly comparing him to the Mega Boss on Morcrusher. Thing to say about Gordrakk, the Fist of Gork, is that because he is unique and a named character, he cannot currently take command traits or artifacts or power like a Mega Boss on Morcrusher can. So when the Mega Boss on Morcrusher actually takes a command trait and takes an artifact, he then becomes more powerful than Gordrakk, the Fist of Gork. Whereas if you just look at their war scrolls, Gordrakk the Fist of Gork is better. The Mega Boss on Maw Crusher will surpass him and become more useful to your army. And it is sad because I really do like Gordrakk the Fist of Gork, but unfortunately he falls into one of the typical examples that I probably mentioned in other videos, that why I want named characters that be better overall in Age of Sigmar. Because when you have a kit, which is the Mega Boss and Maw Crusher kit, where you have a direct choice when you open your instruction booklet, do you build the Mega Crusher and Maw Crusher or the Gordrakk Fist of Gork? You make that choice, and you're probably, again, hats off to you if you want to build whatever you prefer, the look of and everything else, and for story purposes, because I think Gordrakk the Fist of Gork is really, really cool. And his rules aren't bad, but it's just a direct comparison to the Mega Boss and Maw Crusher. You're probably going to build that. If it was me, you could probably magnetize it maybe, so you could put Gordrakk on or the Mega Boss on, just choose what head you want to have for the big Maw Crusher basically. But I think, to be honest, if you're a proper Ironjawz player, you'll probably buy 2 kits and build a Gordrakk the Fist of Gork and also build a Mega Boss or Maw Crusher, or to be honest, just build it however you like. Let's say you prefer Gordrakk the Fist of Gork, build it as that, and then just explain to your opponents and ask, are you happy for me to use this Mega Boss or Maw Crusher? I've written it in my army list. It's not like I'm trying to, save points and all that sort of thing and try and cheat you. Just be honest, and I don't think you'll come across many opponents that will have a problem with that whatsoever. And then the last 2 heroes we've got, like I said, I've already talked about them, so I won't do it again, but we've got the Orruk Warchanter and we've got the Orruk Weird Knob Shaman doing something weird at the bottom of the screen. And then lastly, the battle line options you have for the Ironjawz. Again, I've already mentioned that Orruk R-Boys need to be taken in minimum size units of 10 and have to be in an Ironjawz or Orruk Big War army to be a battle line, and then the Orruk Brutes and the Orruk Gorgrunters have to be in a Ironjawz or Big War army to be battle line as well. But as we're talking purely about Ironjawz, that's why I put them as just battle line for now. But talking about the 3 options, so we have basically already talked about the Orruk R-Boys, and we've already talked about the Orruk Gorgrunters, and I've already mentioned the reason why those 2 are the almost auto-includes, because Orruk R-Boys, I don't do maths hammer at all, but I'm pretty sure that on the maths, they're just a better, bang for your buck with the, Warchanter abilities, and also they can be pretty tanky if you take big blobs of them. And then the Orruk Gorgrunters can be tanky as well. It's a lot of wounds to get through, and they can be really fast. And again, like everything else in the Ironjawz army, hit really hard. So then the Orruk Brutes. So what I will say about them is they are actually my favourite unit in the Ironjawz in terms of battle line, because they're just really, really fun. Now, I know that starts off and makes it sound like they're not the best choice, and they're probably not. Go R-Boys or go Gorgrunters if you want the better options, like I've already mentioned. But the Orruk Brutes is probably still to date the funnest battle line unit I've ever used. And bear in mind, like I said, that was like 2-3 years ago. But I think I had probably about 20 or 25 Brutes, and they were just a really good laugh, really good fun. Why do they fall down? Because, like I say, they haven't got the same damage output as the Orruk R-Boys when you factor in the Warchanter, and they're not as fast as the Orruk Gorgrunters, because Orruk Gorgrunters are essentially just brutes riding massive pigs. So the Orruk Brutes can be a bit slower, but I say there's ways to make them move in different phases, because let's just talk about the battalions for the Ironjawz. They're pretty nearly much all great. Now, they're not all amazing, but most of them are. And me and Alex, when we went through the Why Play Ironjawz video, we talked about the Ironjawz War Scroll Battalion, so you can go watch that for more information. But there was something called the Brute Fist, which also maybe not the best battalion for the Ironjawz, but again a load of fun. But the biggest battalion you're probably going to take is going to be the Iron Fist. That can help you guys move along and get your brutes up there. So when you look at the brute slow movement, it's not really too much of a problem. But again, they're not a bad unit choice, but just compared to the R-Boys and the Gorgrunter, on the maths, they are the least one picked. Now again, I'm happy to be wrong about that, because I think the Orruk Brutes are the best battle liners. They're just a load of fun. I mean, like, I had a unit of 5 of them, and I had one guy from it, it was the boss, and he did I think it was 8 damage by himself in one turn. I mean, fucking give that guy a medal. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And with that, guys, I'm going to come to the end of this video now. We've gone on for about 30 minutes, but I think it's like maybe sort of a bit of a quicker one for my how to start collecting videos. But I think really that's all there was to say without going into loads of detail and loads of in-depth videos, which I do a lot of on this channel, and these start collecting videos are not meant to be too long, anywhere between probably 25 minutes to an hour is probably where they sort of fit. And that's just because if you're looking to start a army, you might be new to Age of Sigmar, and I don't want to bombard you with hours and hours and hours worth of videos. And if you do enjoy that stuff, like I say, I've already got army series that go on for like up to 20 hours, so you can go check that stuff out if you do really like the in-depth stuff. But like I say, I think that's pretty much all I have to say for the Orruk Warclans when it comes to starting a Ironjawz army. Like, it's an army that I said I haven't played for years, but it's an army that I always enjoy fighting against, and I always enjoy seeing on the tabletop because I think they're really fun, they're really cool, and the models are just fantastic. So if you want to start this army, congratulations on picking a cool army. What I'd like to say as well is do check out the why play video I did for the Ironjawz, like I mentioned a couple of times, even if you've decided this is the army you want to do, because me and Alex, I think bar the war scrolls for the Ironjawz, we went through all the abilities and all the rules from the Allegiance. We'll try and help you, guide you when you're playing your games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar with your new Ironjawz army. So like I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you absolutely smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and smash the bell notification. What do those three things mean? By smashing the like button, it shows to me that you're enjoying this sort of how to start collecting video content, and it shows to me that, particularly in this video, Ironjawz, you're enjoying that content as well. So there's more chance I'm going to make it in the future, and it lets YouTube know that people are enjoying this video, so hopefully it'll make it easier for people to watch it on YouTube as well. By subscribing to the channel, that's how the channel grows. Simple as that. And I know a lot of you people have been pressing those two buttons. It makes a huge difference, and it hasn't gone unnoticed, so thank you so much. And there's also the bell notification, which essentially means that you'll never miss a future video of mine. So if you're interested in videos like this, for example, which is about how to start collecting armies, and also videos about Ironjawz and Orruk Warclans, clicking that bell notification means you'll never miss out one of my videos when I talk about those subjects. And then what I'd also like to say, if you've got any questions about the Orruk Warclans in terms of Ironjawz, make sure you put that in the comments down below, and I will do my best to try and help you out how I can. Like I said, I don't play the army, but I help you out however I can. And then also, if there's anything that you've agreed on, or like I said, disagreed on, or think I've missed in this video, do put that down below. I don't pretend to be the, expert in all knowledge when it comes to Ironjawz as an example. So make sure you let us all know that down below, as it will be great to hear from your experience, as people who are watching this video are probably new to Ironjawz, can do with all the help and tips and advice they could get. So if you could do that, that would be great. And also I'd like to say, if you would like to support the channel that step further, please smash the join button, which is next to the subscribe button. That will allow you to become an Age of Nagash member, which basically means you can give anything from £1 a month to the channel, and it will go straight towards keeping the channel going. Or there's a link to my Patreon on the top of the description down below, where you can give anything from $1 a month. And again, I'm going to do a massive shout out to all my patrons who, because of these amazing people, I'm able to keep up making my YouTube channel and keep making content for Age of Sigmar to try and help you get into Age of Sigmar and continue your Age of Sigmar journey. Because like I've mentioned before, YouTube money you get from that, and even with my lovely support from my patrons and YouTube members, that doesn't nearly cover the cost of how much time and effort and resources you put into doing a YouTube channel. But what it does show me is the amount of support you guys are willing to give back to the channel, that makes me realize how much you enjoy the content I make, and that I know it's worth putting the time and effort in, because you guys do really enjoy it to that amount. So going through my YouTube members and my patrons, I firstly want to, of course, do a massive shout out to my biggest supporters, which are going to be my Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragons, which is going to be Stuart F and Filq. Like I've said already, guys, you two are supported on the highest tier, and that makes a huge difference and means the world to me. So please do keep it up. And then my Morgasts, which is going to be Bleed Red. So thank you so much for your continued support, mate. And then my Vampires, which are going to be Amir, Martin S, Rouse321, David A, Ronni H, SpareBear, Christopher H, Northdrop, and Nathan F. Thank you so much for your continued support. And then my Necromancers, which is Jacq.l, RadiationRiley, AW77, Dice Sagas, WolfNick, Michal W, Quad, Cranky Wombat, Christopher C, Christopher F, James S, Robin S, Steve T, James T, Patrick F, and JJ. So thank you all for your continued support, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be talking to you in a video such as this right now. And if anyone would like to become one of these wonderful people, like I said, smash the join button or the link to my page on top of the description down below. It will allow you to do just that. And if you can't, guys, no worries at all. But if you did enjoy the video, all I do ask that you smash the like, the subscribe and bell notification buttons. Those 3 things really do help. And the best thing is they're absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a penny at all. And what I'd also like to say is if you did enjoy the video and you think you might know someone who would as well, make sure you share the video as well, as that's always a great thing to try and share the channel. And if you would like to join in the conversation of what we've got going on in Discord, click the link to the Age of Nagash Discord down in the description below. And what I would say as well is there's probably at the moment in time my other videos have popped up right now. So when I've been going on about check out my other, Ironjawz videos and Warclans videos such as Why Play Ironjawz, you'll see there's a playlist for that on the screen now, so go click that and enjoy it. So with that, guys, again, I'm going to thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Remember until next time to stay safe, stay hygienic, wear a mask, and for God's sake, wash your hands. So as you're going to start an Ironjawz army, you want to be able to play games with it when you can. But more importantly than any of that is remember until next time that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.